The first public speech by Rick Jackson, a Republican who, surprising many, launched a campaign for governor yesterday. He is a wealthy healthcare executive. He is delivering his first official speech as a candidate for Georgia governor. Let's listen in.
And to be an American. Because only in America is a story like mine possible. And I'm eternally grateful. But at some point, you have to turn gratitude into action. Because when a kid grows up in the projects with an alcoholic mother and no father, and who bounced from foster home to foster home, when that kid grows up to be a founder of a multi-billion-dollar company, he has a choice. In 2008, at a ceremony to open this building, I stood in this very spot, and I told you I was adopting a philosophy from moving from success to significance, living a legacy of giving and impact. We dedicated this building to that mission, and because of you, we have lived it. We have led the way in giving and impact, providing medical care to over 20 million patients per year. Our efforts save hundreds of lives every day. We built an environment where you can be your best, earning Best Place to Work more than 18 years in a row. Our main cultural value, others first, is proven not only by what we say, but by what we do. You all know me. Today I'm here to tell our story and to speak to all Georgians. First, let me tell you a quick story that sets the stage. When I first started getting involved in public policy, I went down to the state capitol to testify for foster kids, pushing for better policy to help those who need it most. When I finished, a state senator, the committee chairman, thanked me and said, "Mr. Jackson, I've been here for 17 years, and I have never heard once the words foster care." Y'all, that hit me like a ton of bricks, because it proved what many of us already suspected. The system forgets the people who don't have money, power, privilege, or fame, not those who need it. Right then, I committed to do everything I could to help those without a voice, without a lobbyist, without a checkbook, to make their voice heard. And together, we passed a bill that today helps 500 young people who aged out of foster care to go to college. Now, they have a real chance to break the cycle of dependency and poverty. They can gain purpose and dignity by having the ability to secure a good job in the future, by helping them to achieve their American dream. And now I want to take that drive and passion to fight for all people and make it even more impactful for more than 11 million Georgians. Today, I'm proud to announce that I'm running to be the next governor of the great state of Georgia. I never planned to do this, but Georgia is at a critical crossroads. And we need a conservative business leader to shake things up, not another career politician. Another career politician just looking for money and power. Georgia needs someone who thinks of others first. When I looked around the field of candidates, I saw something missing. Someone from the outside, someone who has lived the struggles that most politicians only read about in briefing books, someone who isn't beholden to the establishment. And I saw no one that has ever been a business leader. I saw a so-called front runner who was weak as can be and as lazy as the day is long. He wants, yeah, that's all right, thank you. Really, he wants the title of governor, but not the job. We would be risking losing his seat to a radical Democrat or a Republican who acts like one. I wasn't willing to sit and let that happen to our president or our great state. We've seen what happens when a true outsider steps into Washington and shakes the whole place up. Someone who takes on the bureaucrats, takes on the media, takes on the entrenched political class, and actually fights for the people who built this country. President Trump proved you don't have to come from the political class to make a real change. You need courage, grit, someone who works hard as hell and never gives up. The establishment hated Trump because they couldn't control him. They'll hate me for the same reason, and I can't wait. This race isn't about me. You guys know that. It's about every one of you. If you've ever felt the system was rigged, that's because it is. The political class protects itself. The media protects them, and the lobbyists prop up the whole thing. It's a cartel. And I'm coming to break it up. Make no mistake, Atlanta can be as big a swamp as Washington. I've lived it. I know. To be blunt, I'm the only candidate in this race who doesn't owe a thing to the political establishment or the lobbyists. I don't care what the insiders want, how much they beg, or how much they give. I can't be bought. And I won't back down either. Not only do I not need their money, I'll spend whatever it takes to win this race. Take away their power, give it back where it belongs to the people of Georgia, especially the hardworking men and women who have been forgotten and left in the shadows for too long, just like I was. Some people have told me I must be crazy for doing that. No less than 40 texts in the last 2 days. But here's why. I owe a debt to this state that I can never fully repay, but I will spend every day for the rest of my life trying. I have given away millions of dollars each year to help people help themselves build a better life. Let me be clear. It's not my money. It's God's money. He has simply blessed me with it and expects me to be a good steward to help others. But through all of that giving and all of that advocacy, I've seen how the system favors the powerful and breaks the everyman. The only way we're going to fix it is from the inside out. So I know exactly why I'm doing this. And I'm in this fight to win big for Georgia. When you fought to eat like I have, fought to stay safe, fought to survive, you don't forget the people still fighting. My fight for Georgians starts with making Georgia more affordable. Georgia families are getting squeezed. Groceries cost more, rent costs more, health care costs more, and property taxes are completely out of control. A lot of politicians talk about affordability, but talk never paid a bill. To them, it's just a political bumper sticker to get elected. And they've been in office for years, and they've done nothing. They hold a press conference and hearings, and they write letters and appoint study committees. Meanwhile, Georgia families are getting further and further behind. I've lived with nothing. I know what it's like to make every dollar stretch, and I know how to build something from the ground up. As governor, my mission is simple: make Georgia the most affordable state in America. That requires real action, not just political talk. First, we will freeze property taxes immediately. No more runaway assessments pricing people out of their homes. Second, we will slash the income tax by 50% in 4 years and fight to eliminate it within 8. Hardworking Georgians deserve to keep more of what they earn. Third, we will save hundreds of millions of dollars by using technology and AI to eliminate fraud and waste, cut bureaucracy, and shrink the cost of government. And fourth, we will freeze tuition, room, and board for colleges and vocational schools so our children can afford an education to have a chance at the American dream. And we will tackle the cost of housing so young Americans can afford to stay here, buy a house, and start a family. Georgia must also be a place where parents want to raise their children. That's why all of this woke nonsense and the complete insanity that's happened across the country in the last few years, it ends in Georgia when I'm governor. If we can't teach Christianity in schools, we're not going to teach the religious woke ideology in school. We will ban every bit of this idiotic DEI insanity and criminalize reverse discrimination. We will judge people by the content of their character. When I'm governor, we will restore common sense in the classroom. Schools are for education, not indoctrination. We will put parents firmly back in charge of their kids' education. We will strengthen the Parents' Bill of Rights, shut down the woke nonsense at its roots, and send a message from the Gold Dome. Government is not a parent. Parents are. Georgia protects its children, and we will stop the radical gender ideology being pushed onto them. Let me be clear. There are two genders, and they're God-given. Boys will not play girls' sports, and boys will not be in girls' bathrooms or locker rooms. And any adult pushing gender transition procedures or ideology onto our kids, they won't just be stopped, they'll be held accountable under the law. Georgia tax dollars will never fund that nonsense, promote it, or encourage it, period. There will be no stronger defender of the Second Amendment, and no one who has the backs of our law enforcement more than me. I grew up in places where police were the only line between safety and danger. While some politicians attack our officers or tie their hands, I'll do the exact opposite. Officers deserve our respect. We will back our men and women in law enforcement 100%. This is not just a political bumper sticker for me. It was the way I was raised. They will have the resources, training, and support they need to keep our families safe. And criminals will get a message loud and clear. I'm going to make Georgia the worst place in America to be a criminal. There will, thank you. There will be no revolving door of justice, no soft on crime coddling, and no blaming society for violent offenders, excusing criminal behavior because someone claims to be a victim is nonsense.
All right, we have been listening in real time to the first official speech of Rick Jackson's campaign for Georgia governor. He surprised many in the political world yesterday, launching his campaign for governor, entering the GOP primary that already includes 3 prominent statewide Republicans running for the job. That's Lieutenant Governor Burt Jones, Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, and Attorney General Chris Carr. Rick Jackson is a wealthy healthcare executive, according to a press release accompanying his campaign announcement rollout. He has loaned his campaign $50 million and plans to use $40 million of that money in what the campaign is describing as an, quote, initial ad buy to presumably just about blanket the airwaves across the state for him to introduce his message to Georgia voters. Remember, the primary less than 4 months away now. In this address, Rick Jackson wasted no time in throwing some sharp elbows at the current field of Republicans. He said, this is a quote, "I saw a so-called frontrunner who is weak as can be and lazy as the day is long." He went on to say, he described himself as an ally of President Trump, and he said, quote, "The establishment hated Trump because they couldn't control him. They'll hate me for the same reason, and I can't wait." Rick Jackson spending some time in that address discussing his background growing up in poverty and rising to become a wealthy healthcare executive, laying out policy proposals that includes cutting taxes in Georgia and enhancing the affordability of Georgia's colleges and universities. Also leaning into some conservative social issues. He said at one point, quote, "We will ban every bit of what he described as this idiotic DEI insanity." And he went on to say, quote, "There are 2 genders and they are God-given."